Welcome everyone to this fireside chat about email marketing. My name's Lizzie Coonahan. I'm the head of client services at SoPro, and email marketing is our business. Here at SoPro, we generate leads for businesses by sending targeted emails to carefully identified prospects. We recently celebrated our 5-year anniversary, and for the first 4 years, email was the only channel we invested in. Right now, SoPro are using email to generate leads for over 300 B2B businesses in over 55 sectors worldwide. Now, you've probably seen or heard the stat that every $1 spent on email marketing generates a $38 return on investment. And email has some intrinsic advantages. It's cheap to use. Almost all professionals are on it. It's an open platform. It doesn't favor advertisers. It can be seen by 100% of your target audience. And email will also drive conversions better than any other marketing channel. For all these reasons, email is a popular channel for scaling up businesses. Today, I'm joined by 3 business owners to talk about their experience of using email marketing to sell more. Welcome Anna Ansel, founder and partner of Matrix Marketing, and Lars Helstra and Stephen Crane, founders of Sales Agents UK. So let's start at the beginning. How has email prospecting helped your businesses? Stephen and Lars, let's start with you. So when Sales Agents was founded, what channels did you start using and why did you turn to prospecting?
When we first started, our actions were quite random. We used a combination of social and business media posts, boosted posts, paid adverts. We didn't really know what we were doing. These were quite random actions, excuse me, with very little planning. And then we added Google and other online promotions. And this had some success, but there was a lot of drawbacks to it and we wanted something better. We were targeting specific audiences, but the responses, they weren't always as we wanted. So they might be from the wrong geographical location, different business sectors than the ones that we targeted. The number of responses we received fluctuated greatly. So we didn't feel we had control over the volume of responses and how we could handle them. So a good post or advert that might generate a sudden flood of inquiries, but with only 2 of us working in the business, we had to deal with them. And then there might be long gaps before the next successful promotion generated the responses for us. And that left Lars and I very frustrated.
I bet.
Yeah. Like Stephen said, we spent a lot of resources on especially Facebook and Google in the beginning, and it was also really time consuming, and it was difficult to get the targeting right. I think that's especially true in a B2B setting where we're trying to get B2B leads. Yeah. And we really never managed to get the consistent flow of new leads, and therefore we were always open for another way of doing stuff and getting business leads. And like you mentioned in the introduction, like email marketing had a lot of appealing aspects to it, but then again it was the problem of finding a professional provider that would actually get us the results we wanted and manage to get a consistent flow of leads and wouldn't get our email blacklisted or anything like that. So we finally went for SoPro and did it. And I remember the first day of the campaign, when I opened my inbox, it was I think it was around 15 specific leads, like businesses looking for our services. So then we knew that we'd made a good decision.
Yeah, I think the key benefits we were looking for as we searched for who to be our lead generation partner, there were things like the ability to scale up the business as we grew. So as we took on sales agents for ourselves, we needed to know that we could sort of turn the tap on and off and get the leads when we wanted them. We needed a reliable source of incoming leads as well, and a way to gain new prospects for us. So we always had the processes and the resources to deal with them as they came in. That was really important to us. And also for the future, we wanted to look at how we could quickly retarget a campaign to ensure that we got leads and could target the prospects for the new services that we were developing.
Right.
Yeah.
And hearing you talk there about starting Sales Agents UK, given the nature of this summit, I think it'd be really interesting to hear what you think founders need to keep front and center to make sure that their businesses don't fail in the first few months.
Yes. Yeah, for us, like cash flow was really important. We needed to know that what we invested would make our return of investment, because we didn't have the funds really to a lot of trial and error. So we needed to get results from our marketing. So I think that was the key part, that we knew that, okay, if we spent X amount on marketing, that it would give that return of investment. And that's why we were so open for another avenue, because we didn't get those consistent results with like other digital marketing like Facebook and Google. I think that was the key part. I'm not sure if you want to add something to that, Stephen.
I think also from the beginning, our plan was to expand the business by outsourcing sales, because that's what we do. We find salespeople that will take over the sales part of the sales function for our clients. So as we looked at that, we then decided that perhaps all the other key functions, we should use outsource resources for that as well. And that was kind of the ethos that we built the business on. So whereas we offer services to find freelance agents, we also agreed that things like the marketing and the admin and accounts, as everyone else does, that should be outsourced to individuals. And it just naturally followed that we should find an expert in lead generation and outsource to them, rather than us trying to learn from scratch and reinvent the wheel on how to do everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And Anna, you work with a lot of startups and a lot of businesses that are scaling. Can you talk us about, or talk us through how prospecting fits into the marketing mix?
Sure. I mean, I feel that, when you're working with a new business, as the guys have already referred to, cash flow is normally a key priority. And really, when they talk to you about marketing, what they're talking to you about is prospecting. Any marketing activity needs to quickly, and probably even quicker, turn into a good lead that hopefully is going to bring in revenue and feed the business's growth and continue its existence right at the beginning. I think there are some marketing things you need in place before you go out there and start your prospecting. People will go to your LinkedIn profile, especially in the B2B arena. They will check out your website. I don't think a website has to be hundreds of pages of information, but it needs to be professional, it needs to be consistent, and it needs to clearly and quickly communicate what problem you are solving for those people that think they have a problem that you might be able to solve, and explains how you will do that. Don't forget things like calls to action. Tell them what to do next, and build it around a sales process. Marketing is about creating leads, and it's about creating business so that startups and any other business can grow.
Right, and I suppose building on that, for anyone who is considering email prospecting right now as a way to grow their business, what should they be looking for when deciding if it's the right channel for them?
I mean, I think COVID has had such a massive impact, and we are all, as we are today, much more online and engaged, unfortunately, maybe with our screens than with, a multitude of formats. We're not stood at bus stops looking at advertising in a bus stop. We're not sat in the cinema watching an advert before the movie, unfortunately. But I also think that, especially for B2B businesses, email has always been a very good engagement channel, because you're in your work environment. Hopefully, when you're reading your work emails, it can be a concise way to communicate that this is a good relationship to explore, and that you have a solution to a problem that they are facing. So I think it's always been a very strong channel, but at the moment with COVID, it's even more. It's even carrying an even larger portion of that budget burden, because the other channels just aren't aren't reaching audiences in the way that they would have been able to do in the past.
That's right. And I suppose technically, what do you need for prospecting to be a success?
Well, I think, as I already said, do get the basics ready before you launch the campaign. So think about your LinkedIn profile, engage, either put up articles yourself or comment and show that you have that expertise and interest and relevant experience to the problem that your business is claiming to solve. I think a decent website needs to be there. And I think the other thing is, and certainly we've seen this with clients of ours who have used SoPro, when those responses come, you need to be ready to respond, because when someone actually does respond to that email and says, oh yeah, that sounds interesting, let's talk, you want to have that follow-up phone call in the next couple of days, and you want a proposal or a response to that interest out in a couple of days. You don't want to get someone who's saying that sounds interesting, make them wait a week for a phone call, make them wait 10 days for a proposal, and then expect them to turn around and buy from you the next day. You need to create that momentum. I think one of the important things to understand about prospecting is that, yes, there may be people who are thinking, oh, it's always good to meet new companies and bring on new agencies or partners to work with. But a lot of the time you're trying to get that person when they have a need, where they've just thought, oh, this is broken, I wish I could fix it. And that's why Scaleup, I think, is so important in prospecting, because there will be a proportion of your responses that are doing kind of an information gathering, but quite often it's because there's a current pain or problem that they are trying to fix. And so your ability to respond at speed with through that initial conversation, response, proposal, or however you need to share details of what they can buy from you, needs to be organized and ready to go before you start that prospecting campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Stephen, could you tell us about how prospecting campaigns have influenced or changed your customer profile? Has it opened any avenues for you that you hadn't previously considered?
Yes, and I think that's all down to the specific data that you can get back from the campaigns. Because SoPro are the ones who are sending out the emails, we know exactly who they're going to. We know exactly which types of businesses, which business sectors, and what that company's function is within that sector. That means we can quickly see which ones are responding positively, which ones have a need for what it is that we can provide, and which ones we should then be following up with and doing more of the same. So, for example, there were surprises to us where we saw that certain sectors where where SoPro had mailed out for us and targeted specific types of companies, we saw the responses come back from them that were really good, which we hadn't expected. So that meant we could not only focus on that part of the business sector, but also look at similar companies to the ones that were responding well and include that in the campaign as well. It also showed us some types of businesses that we shouldn't target because the responses were quite low. And this information comes through really fast. So you're not sort of waiting a few months before you change what it is that you're doing. You can change this and build on the effectiveness of the campaigns more or less straight away.
Right. Sorry, Lars, were you going to say something?
Yeah, just a specific example of what Stephen is talking about. I remember before we started using SoPro, we never really bothered like trying to go for any companies in the health sector specifically.
Yes.
And when we started SoPro campaign, like the health sector, it was included, and it gave us like some fantastic leads and fantastic replies. I always thought those products were so niche that it wouldn't work with an agent, and some of them are really technical. So I thought, okay, it would be difficult to find a sales agents for those kind of products. But we kind of discovered that, okay, it's entirely possible, and it's quite a common business model in that sector, and that surprised me a lot.
Yeah.
And just as a specific example.
That's now probably one of our busier sectors.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it is.
That's great.
So similarly with the utilities and energy resellers, we didn't think that was a market for us, but the figures proved us wrong. And again, that's now a major target for us and for our services.
That's great. Well, could you tell us a bit more about I suppose, the specific successes that you've seen with prospecting?
Yes, as well as the targeting and being able to get our message out there to the right people, we've got, as we discussed before, we now have a constant flow of leads that we control. So we've managed to build a team of sales agents, and we're coming up to the Christmas period now. So we know that we can forecast the number of leads that will be coming in. We can turn that tap up or down as we need it for the sales agents and when they'll be working over the Christmas break, the lead up to the Christmas break, and ready for the big start back in January. So it gives you that feeling of control, whereas when you're doing things such as social media, you haven't got that control and you don't get that direct feedback that allows you to make the immediate changes to give you the results that you want.
Right.
Now, I think we would actually struggle quite a bit to be successful with our own sales agents if we couldn't provide them with good leads.
Yes.
So if we just told them to go and find their own leads, it wouldn't work. They wouldn't work with us.
Yes.
So I think that's a key point for us. If we're going to build up our own sales team with our own agents, we need to provide them with good quality leads. And that's why we also recommend many of our clients that are looking for agents who should provide them with good B2B leads. That's important.
I think one of the biggest mistakes we made in the really early months was that we just didn't invest aggressively enough in prospecting.
Right.
That's good in one way because you always want to protect the cash flow, but it can really slow down growth. It was only when we decided we found a good partner, we found someone that we know has proven results and can get the same results for us, and it's only when we started investing in that prospecting that we realized that we could scale up in the way that we wanted to. Without it, I think we'd have still been crawling along with a very small increase percentage month on month, but certainly not in the way that we've increased with the prospecting leads.
That's really good to hear. Anna, could you tell us a bit about the successes that you've seen with prospecting?
Sure. I mean, I think that the one thing I would say is definitely, perseverance pays off. And there is a lot more technically that goes on behind the scenes. The guys referred to it right at the beginning. You don't want, spam filters and finding the right person with an organization with an up-to-date email address. These are all things that if you can find a really good prospecting service, you don't have to worry about, but actually they make a massive difference to the success that you will see from your prospecting activity. And then there's the data that it kind of informs you in terms of the sectors, and certainly for both my clients and for Matrix Marketing, when we've used it for ourselves, there have been some surprises in there, but it's great to see it in cold hard stats rather than letting the opinion or your where you feel comfortable be the guiding force. Obviously that can come into it. You can still say we're going to get a fantastic response from the healthcare sector, but we really don't have the experience to put a proposal in and win it. Fair enough, but maybe you go and find yourself a partner or an expert to bring into your organization because it's such a rich seam of leads. Right. But I think the other thing about perseverance is the follow-up. So both actually through prospecting activities that we've done for clients and for different activities like organising roundtables, you see time and time again that people actually, you see huge engagement rates at the third email stage. And you need to be smart enough, and your technology needs to be good enough to keep going to get to that third engagement place. And I was thinking about this and saying, well, is it just when you're doing a lot of outreach, so it's the scalability point? But actually, especially if you're a founder, even if you're only reaching out to 10 individuals a day, trying to remember to get the second, reach out to the people who haven't responded. And then the third is actually just not a very good use of your time. You're the founder, you need to be there following up on the leads, you need to be dreaming about the next product or service you're going to launch, you need to be on LinkedIn, building your network. You don't need to be sending what can be triggered emails. And although there is a lot that goes on behind them, the right time of day to send them, the right day to send them, it is so important to have a system that follows through, because yes, some people immediately respond, but we see time and time again that it's that third contact where people go, I knew there was a reason I hadn't deleted that email, but I hadn't got around to it, but now I'm going to do something about it. And those, will be the leads that will turn into revenue. So you need to get to that point as well.
Totally. And there is a very tech side to this, but there's also a creative element involved in creating a prospecting email. It's about distilling that message and moving a conversation from an email onto a phone call. Lars, Stephen, how did you experience that side of things?
I was probably the most skeptical person you could find when I first saw the proposed emails that were being sent out. They just didn't. I wanted to send lots of information, and the emails were short, to the point, but not very concise. So it gave the kind of benefits without the features. But I gave it a chance. I wasn't convinced it would work, but we went along with it. And after many conversations where I'm sure I really frustrated the writers at SoPro, we sent the first ones out, and I was proven wrong, and I hold my hands up.
Yeah, what surprised me the most were the effectiveness of the chaser emails, like the second, third, and emails. I thought, okay, if they don't respond to the first one, why should they respond to the second or third one? I didn't. Okay, what's the point I was making? But like Anna was pointing out, we get a lot of responses to the chaser emails, like the second and third email that are sent out.
Yes.
Absolutely. And Anna, can you speak to your experiences of that more creative side of the putting together that email template?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with the guys. It is striking how less is more. And as a marketeer who specialises in distilling brand propositions and working a lot with words, it was a little bit of a reality check, I guess, to really say how many words and how much telling people about your offering do you need to include. But this is the initial touch point, and I think that again goes back to the point I made earlier about it is a numbers game, because you so often you're having to hit that person when they have a problem, and you pop up literally in their inbox as someone who might have a solution to that problem, and you're not going to know exactly what that problem is that they've got, so you don't actually want to deliver too precise piece. So for example, as a marketing agency, we don't send out an email that says, do you need a press release that needs sending out? Because it might be a press release, it might be a rebrand, it might be a website overhaul. But actually, if you can say we have marketing expertise that is here to help, you've increased however many fold the number of people who are sitting there with that a marketing issue who can go, oh, maybe this is someone to help me. So I think that's the flip side, is definitely keep it general and keep it short. And then when you get to have those conversations or send over a proposal, that's when you can really demonstrate your specific knowledge and your specific fit with what they're looking for.
Right. I think Anna's totally correct on that. If we were to try and send an email out that describes our service to someone who's never had worked with sales agents before, it would be very difficult to fit that all into one email. So the emails that are going out now, they give an idea of the benefits at the far end of the process, and that sparks an interest in the reader. The reader then comes back to us, and most of the responses we get are either for more information or a specific question, and that gets the conversation going. So it moves straight away. It's away from a sale. It's a conversation between you and a potential client to see whether or not we can meet the needs that they've currently got. And again, as Anna said, the timing is really important.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you very much, Anna, Stephen and Lars. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. Some really, really interesting nuggets there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you all for attending. As a thank you, we'd like to give you an exclusive code, which you can find in your digital guide. Pop over to toolset.sopro.io and sign up with the code STARTUP6K. That's STARTUP6K. The first 100 users will be gifted 6,000 Toolset credits absolutely free. You can find all our guest contact details on the Summit platform, and do feel free to get in contact to follow up on anything we've discussed today. Right, that really is it. Many thanks.